If you own XRP, you need to slow down for a moment and really listen, because right now is one of those periods where noise is loud, emotions are high, and understanding is rare. People are talking about tomorrow, about sudden changes, about moments that could redefine everything, but most of those conversations skip the part that actually matters. What's happening beneath the surface doesn't move at the speed of headlines, and if you only react to what flashes on your screen, you miss the bigger picture entirely. This isn't about hype, and it's not about fear, it's about awareness. Before we go deeper, take a second to like this video if you value clear, grounded discussions about crypto without wild promises. And if you want content that focuses on understanding markets instead of chasing emotions, make sure you're subscribed. It helps the channel and it keeps these conversations going. Now let's talk honestly. XRP has always existed in a space that most digital assets never touch. It lives at the intersection of technology, finance, and regulation, and that combination changes how everything around it behaves. While many crypto projects rise and fall based on trends, XRP has been shaped by pressure, legal pressure, institutional pressure, public scrutiny, and that pressure has forced it to evolve differently. Most people think markets move because of news. In reality, news is often just the excuse, not the cause. Markets move because of positioning, liquidity, and structure. By the time something becomes widely discussed, much of the decision-making has already happened quietly. That's why sudden moves feel shocking. They aren't sudden at all. They're delayed reactions. When people say, tomorrow everything could change, what they're really feeling is uncertainty. Uncertainty isn't bad. It's a signal that something important is unfolding. But uncertainty doesn't mean predictability. No one knows exactly what tomorrow brings, and anyone who claims certainty is either guessing or selling confidence. What you can know is this: financial systems don't change overnight, but they do reach moments where years of preparation become visible. Those moments often feel dramatic because the work behind them was invisible. XRP was built to solve a problem that still exists today. Global payments are slow, expensive, and inefficient. That hasn't changed. Banks still deal with delays. Cross-border transactions still involve friction. Liquidity still matters. XRP's core design addresses those issues directly. That doesn't mean success is guaranteed. It means relevance persists, and relevance is more important than hype. One of the biggest mistakes investors make is confusing silence with failure. When attention fades, people assume nothing is happening. In reality, silence often means the work has moved out of the spotlight. Institutions don't announce every test. Regulators don't livestream every discussion. Progress happens in rooms most people never see. Another mistake is assuming price reflects value in real time. Price reflects transactions, not intention. It reflects who is buying and selling right now, not who is preparing for the future. Long-term positioning doesn't show up clearly on short-term charts. This is why emotional trading is so dangerous. Emotions compress your timeline. They make tomorrow feel like everything. They turn normal volatility into personal stress. And markets are very good at exploiting emotional reactions. XRP's journey has been long and uncomfortable, especially for those who expected fast results. But that discomfort forced clarity. It forced legal definitions. It forced conversations that other projects have avoided. Whether you agree with every outcome or not, that process matters. From an American perspective, regulation isn't optional. Institutions don't operate in gray areas forever. They wait for frameworks. They wait for risk to be defined. Assets that survive that waiting period are different from assets that only thrive in chaos. Another thing people underestimate is time preference. Retail investors often think in days or weeks. Institutions think in years. When those two timelines collide, frustration is inevitable. Price may move sideways while long-term plans continue quietly. This doesn't mean you ignore price. It means you contextualize it. Price is one signal, not the story. XRP's structure also matters. It's fast. It's cost-efficient. It scales without congestion. Those qualities aren't exciting during speculative manias, but they matter deeply in real-world financial systems. Boring reliability often wins in environments where failure is unacceptable. There's also a psychological element here. After years of debate, many people tuned out. They stopped paying attention. That creates a strange situation where meaningful developments can happen with less noise. When attention returns, it feels sudden, even if the groundwork was laid long ago. Markets reward patience in ways that aren't obvious at first. They also punish overconfidence quickly. The people who struggle the most are often the ones who need immediate validation. Tomorrow might feel important. It always does. But the truth is, no single day defines the future of an asset like XRP. What matters is whether the system continues to build, adapt, and integrate over time. Crypto markets are still young, but they're maturing. As they mature, the rules change. Hype loses power. Structure gains importance. Assets tied to real utility begin to separate themselves from those driven purely by speculation. That doesn't mean the path is smooth. Volatility remains. Sentiment swings. Narratives shift. But beneath that movement, infrastructure either exists or it doesn't. Use cases either make sense or they don't. XRP remains part of a global conversation about how value moves. That conversation isn't finished. It's evolving. If you're holding XRP, the most important thing you can do right now is avoid emotional shortcuts. Don't let fear rush you. Don't let excitement blind you. Stay informed. Understand the system you're participating in. This is not financial advice. It's perspective. Perspective doesn't tell you what to do. It helps you understand what you're seeing. If this is making you think differently, hit the like button. It tells the algorithm this kind of content matters. And subscribe if you want more discussions that prioritize clarity over noise. Because in markets filled with shouting, calm understanding is a real advantage. And whatever tomorrow brings, remember this: long-term stories aren't written in moments of panic or excitement. They're written quietly over time while most people are looking somewhere else. And that's where we continue, because once you understand that real change rarely announces itself loudly, you start seeing the market very differently. You stop chasing every headline and start watching behavior instead. Behavior tells you far more than opinions ever will. One of the most misunderstood ideas in crypto is the belief that transparency means visibility. People assume that because blockchains are public, everything important must be obvious. But transparency doesn't mean simplicity. It doesn't mean intentions are clear. It just means data exists. Interpreting that data correctly is a completely different skill. Most market participants don't lose because they lack information. They lose because they misinterpret it. They see price action and assume it reflects truth in real time. But price is reactive, not predictive. It responds to pressure, imbalance, and emotion long before it reflects fundamentals. This is especially important for something like XRP, where fundamentals are tied to systems that move slower than speculation. Payment infrastructure doesn't pivot overnight. Regulatory frameworks don't flip on a whim. Institutional adoption doesn't happen because of a trending hashtag. Instead, it happens through long conversations, testing phases, compliance reviews, and quiet integration. None of that looks exciting on a chart. None of it creates instant gratification, but all of it creates durability. Durability is not something markets reward quickly. In fact, markets often ignore durability until it becomes unavoidable. That's why assets with real-world use cases can feel undervalued or misunderstood for long periods. They don't fit the narrative-driven cycles that dominate social media. Another thing worth understanding is how incentives shape behavior. Retail traders are incentivized by speed and excitement. Platforms profit from activity. Media profits from engagement. None of those incentives align with patience. None of them reward waiting. Institutions, on the other hand, are incentivized by stability and risk management. They care less about short-term price movement and more about long-term reliability. That difference creates a constant disconnect in expectations. When people say, "Why hasn't price moved yet?" they're often asking the wrong question. A better question is, what conditions would need to exist for sustained movement to make sense? Those conditions usually involve clarity, liquidity, and confidence, not excitement.